What's up, everybody? We are live. It is Saturday night. It is for SpongeBob and Heathcliff. It is fight night. And we are ready to go. The Cartoon Classic continues. This is match number 5 in the first round of the Cartoon Classic tournament. This matchup here could definitely determine, depending on who wins, it could determine two second-round matches. We may know 2 second-round matches by the time this episode is over. Of course, I am your host, Dutchie, joined as always by MoneyE.
What's up?
Sean.
Hello.
And our wild card, Dave, is with us as usual.
Let's get it.
So, all right. It's SpongeBob versus Heathcliff. SpongeBob got here by defeating Garfield and friends in the wild card round, despite Eric trying his best to try to make sure that didn't happen. I mean, we're talking bribes. We're talking, I can't really say the rest of the stuff that he sent me because I can't really say it on air. But
sorry.
Hey, family show. That's why I just said I couldn't say the rest of the stuff that you sent me. But anyway, despite Eric's best efforts, SpongeBob made it through. Heathcliff is the number 3 seed. SpongeBob is number 14. If SpongeBob wins, they're automatic in the second round in the quarterfinals. They're facing Batman the Animated Series.
That'd be a good matchup.
And that would mean that Simpsons would be facing Kim Possible. Now, if Heathcliff wins, then Simpsons is facing Batman the Animated Series in the second round. And Heathcliff, we won't know any more matches until next week when it's Scooby-Doo and Rugrats. But already in the second round, obviously, Batman the Animated Series and Kim Possible, because they're the number 1 and number 2 seeds. Rocket Power has advanced. Pokemon has advanced. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has advanced. And because Sean wanted to flip Dave the Bird last week, Simpsons has advanced.
I was picking them regardless.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, the reason you gave, which again, Simpsons moving on did not surprise me. Now, when you made it sound like you were going to pick X-Men, and then you're like, nah, Dave picked them, so I can't do it.
Controversy,
that was such a swerve.
We need controversy on this show, and I'm bringing it.
Yeah. Eric just gave you the clap.
Thanks, Eric. Team player.
Wouldn't be the first time he gave him the clap either.
Anyway, all right.
Kids show David.
No, I'm saying that. A round of applause.
Yeah.
It's not the first time.
Yeah. All right. So our 7 categories are theme song, animation quality, originality and creativity, characters, episodes, humor and entertainment value, and cultural impact and legacy. I'm going to go ramble on about each category. These guys are going to say, these 3 lovely judges are going to say which show did that particular category better. The first 1 to 4 category wins moves on to the next round. So without any further ado, we'll go ahead. We'll jump right into it. Jump right into theme song. Again, this is SpongeBob SquarePants versus Heathcliff. And theme song, it's funny because it's been pretty rare in the single in the one-on-one tournament battles that we've had 2 theme songs with words. I mean, it has happened a couple of times, but it's something that we really haven't seen a lot of. But here we see it. SpongeBob's theme song, and you have the captain coming on beforehand. Are you ready, kids? And then they do that theme song, and I think it's pretty catchy. I actually think it's one of the better Nickelodeon cartoon theme songs. And then you have Heathcliff, and the action sequence there where he's causing trouble, which is what he does, and it's a very that's also a very catchy tune. And so you have two very different kind of theme songs, but they both kind of they both set the tone pretty well for their shows. So, wild card, I'm going to start with you. Who did it better?
Who did it better? This one was difficult for me because I honestly liked both. You know, Heathcliff had a nice little melody to it, and it had a nice little sequence with the animations of him doing his thing, like you said, and you get those noises in the background, like the beep boop, like when they're getting into stuff. But I'm gonna have to go with SpongeBob because the song's so iconic.
Yeah.
It's super catchy, and I just know it off the top of my head. I don't even really got to think about it. Heathcliff, I don't really remember the lyrics like that. I just remember the melody.
Yeah. Well, I can't really sing it because we'll get hit with copyright, and I'll crack the computer screen.
But that's also because I didn't probably watch it growing up as well as growing up. I heard SpongeBob. I didn't really watch it, but I know the song. You know.
Well, it's funny too because I feel like Heathcliff moved on like the way they did, because we had our when we did the league battle, like we were all kind of just like, I mean, I was very partial to it, but when we had the one guy come on and vote in the chat room, and he basically gave Heathcliff 10s across the board, that's how Heathcliff ended up with such a big score. But not a lot of people remember Heathcliff. Some people call Heathcliff a Garfield ripoff, which is weird because the cartoon Heathcliff came before the Garfield cartoon, but Garfield also was already a comic strip. Eric, we're going to go to you next.
SpongeBob, because it is iconic and more people know it, and they probably use it as their ringtone. Even in my head, I know the song, but even though it gives me a headache.
Yeah. All right, Shawn, it doesn't matter, but go ahead anyway.
SpongeBob. Pretty much the same reason everybody else gave,
Yeah. So
too catchy, iconic,
All right. So already looking pretty good for SpongeBob, not so for Heathcliff. SpongeBob up 1-0. Animation quality is the next category. So we're gonna go and this is funny because it's two different eras. Heathcliff came out 15 years before SpongeBob did. Heathcliff came out in 84. SpongeBob came out in 99. And Heathcliff was that standard 80s animation by the company DIC, D-I-C. Obviously, SpongeBob was Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon, I still think, had were the best at animation. So, and I think also SpongeBob, for being around as long as he has been, the animation, gets better and better over time. But Heathcliff, for 80s animation, it was still pretty good. And you had the the action sequences and all the chase scenes in Heathcliff, the animation really captured it. SpongeBob, like I said, Nickelodeon was always tops as far as animation goes. So, Shawn, I'm going to start with you since your vote didn't count the last time. We'll make sure it counts this time. Who wins the category?
I don't know. I'm going to go with Heathcliff on this one.
Okay.
It's tight, but I don't know how to explain why. It's just, I think Heathcliff deserves it more.
Okay. All right. Eric.
Oh man, I was hoping you were gonna give me third because that for the tiebreaker, but okay. I'm gonna go with SpongeBob.
All right.
I think they evolved more than Heathcliff did over the years.
All right. Tiebreakers go to the wild card.
For animation, I'm gonna have to give that to SpongeBob.
Okay.
I mean, it came after Heathcliff, so it already had better animation
Yeah.
when it started off, and it over years as well. So I mean, it's just gotten better and better with the animation.
Okay. All right. Not looking good for Heathcliff so far. Up 2-0. So now we're gonna go. Now again, they need 4. They need 4 category wins to seal the deal here and to move on to the next round. With to a date with Batman the Animated Series, we're gonna go to originality and creativity. Now, again, I said earlier, people call Heathcliff a Garfield ripoff. Now, this is actually the second Heathcliff cartoon because there was a Heathcliff cartoon in 1980. I don't necessarily remember if this is the same character or not. I mean, the Cadillac Cats had nothing to do with it. It was something else. He was part of like another group. But Heathcliff for years, and my brother's one of the people that does it, has been called a Garfield ripoff. So, but there's a lot of creative things. Like, you don't see many cats bully a big dog. All right, and he bullied poor Spike. And then and you didn't see that a lot. Usually, you saw the dog trying to chase around, and you would see a big dog like that because Heathcliff was just he was pretty. I mean, he's me if I were a cat. That big belly, and loving to eat and being lazy. So there was some creativity, I think, with like a lot of the chase scenes. Good Lord. So then we'll put that up there. Not yet, Reaper.
Game over.
All right. SpongeBob is a little different because SpongeBob had there weren't really a lot of cartoons about sponges that lived underwater that worked at a burger joint. So he was original, and some of the stuff they did, in the episodes, and we'll get to the episodes in a little bit, or we may not, depending on if Heathcliff can win a category here. So both episodes, SpongeBob hit the, probably better with the originality, the creativity. I think they're both, kind of go head to head a little bit, and it's a little more even matched. But Eric, I'm going to go to you first.
I'm going with SpongeBob because I think the creativity was better because you got a sponge that talks, and I mean, you got a cat that talks, but the sponge that talks and it's funny and all that. So I don't want to say too much nice things about SpongeBob. So
yeah, the fact that you've already given him 3 categories kind of floors me. All right, Shawn, we'll go to you next.
I'd also have to pick SpongeBob. I think they had more ability to make it more creative.
Yep.
Or more like room to, because they had all those side characters.
Yeah.
And then they were able to make those so relatable that they could branch that out. And then, some of the episodes were just wacky.
Yeah.
Like So, yeah, SpongeBob all day. All day Spon.
Okay. Dave, it doesn't matter, but go ahead.
Make it 3 in a row.
All right. Now, normally I would say, because we're still at like only 15 minutes, so I would normally say we'll just jump into the next battle. But the next battle is probably going to be a long one because that's it's going to be a tough one. Rugrats and Scooby Doo, so it's going to need its own episode. So
Yep.
we'll just have to figure out time to kill if we end this under a half hour, or if this battle ends under a half hour. But because it's looking like that's going to happen, because we have category 4, SpongeBob's up 3-0. So Heathcliff has some work to do. Man, this is the worst beating that a 6 seed has given a 3 seed since what game was it? Oh, well, when the Giants beat up on the Vikings a few years ago in the playoffs. But
or the T-Wolves beating up on the Lakers this season.
Ooh.
yeah, that was rough.
Ooh.
All right.
Got
Character. Huh?
I said got him.
Ah.
Because nobody likes the Lakers.
No, they do not. I'm not really a fan of them either. All right. Category number 4. This could end the whole thing. It is characters. Obviously, the 2 title characters in each show: SpongeBob, Heathcliff. But SpongeBob, he's got quite the cast. It's not just always about him. There could be episodes about Squidward. There could be episodes about Patrick. Mr. Krabs, Pearl, Plankton, Sandy Cheeks. So each of those characters gets featured in different episodes, and it's like one episode they do an episode where it's like two different segments. So like everybody gets proper screen time. Say the same thing about Heathcliff, because you have Heathcliff, you have his girlfriend, or you have his girlfriend whose name I can't remember, which kind of sucks. You have his owner, Iggy. You have Iggy's grandparents, but you also have Riff Raff and the Cadillac Cats, Chloe and Riff Raff, Chloe, Mongo, Wordsworth, and Hector. All right. And because it's always 2 different segments. It's Heathcliff doing his stuff, and obviously you have Spike the dog. Heathcliff doing his stuff, then the Cadillac Cats doing their stuff. So everybody, again, it's the same thing. In both shows, all characters get equal screen time. But, some might say, okay, SpongeBob's characters get a lot more because they're a lot more featured. Nobody's necessarily turning it into Heathcliff to watch Riff Raff and Cleo.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. But they're still very central characters on the show because they do have their own segment. But all right, Dave, your vote didn't count the last category, so we're gonna make sure it counts this one. Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to give this one to Heathcliff.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm not really a fan of SpongeBob and their characters. So yeah, I liked Heathcliff himself. Thought he was pretty bad, quotation marks.
Yeah.
But I just liked his alley cat demeanor type deal. And how he was, the big bad cat that just roamed the streets, did what he wanted, didn't really have a boss. He was the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really like SpongeBob and their characters. They're more annoying to me than anything.
Okay.
So got to
Okay.
give it to Heathcliff.
Shawn, I'm going to you next.
I'm also going to go with Heathcliff.
Wow.
I mean, I like SpongeBob, but Dave is right when he's like the characters are just annoying. You know, and it kind of gets stale after a while because you kind of get you just understand that character more. And I think, like he said, with like Heathcliff being like the little mobster of the town, I thought that was great. So I'm gonna go with Heathcliff.
All right, Eric. It doesn't count, but go ahead.
I'm going SpongeBob.
Wow.
You really like SpongeBob, huh?
No, I'm trying not to be hateful today. So
Yeah, we've been calling him out on it all week, so he's.
I just think the characters are more recognized and more known. If you ask anybody which show they would watch, weren't recognized more, it's SpongeBob.
Yeah. I mean, and I get that. Like, because you're going to go in and you're going to find a lot more. I mean, unless you're on like a 90s retro website, you're going to find a lot more like apparel for SpongeBob than you are Heathcliff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even know what Heathcliff was before until we did this.
Right. So I can understand that. But all right, so now there's no sweep. Heathcliff at least gets one. So
I'm
Turtles.
Speechless.
Ninja Turtles is still the only cartoon to sweep somebody in this round.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't think. I thought at least one of them
Makes sense. They are ninjas.
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
They went
Ninja
for the leg sweep.
Yeah. Very good, Dave.
Yeah, I'm speechless that at least neither one of them picked SpongeBob.
So I think
Well,
it was just
it wasn't about legacy. It was about the characters themselves.
yeah.
That's,
All right,
that's-
so we are getting to episodes. Again, SpongeBob's up 3-1. They can still win it here. You have again both shows had their fair share of really good episodes. SpongeBob, you have that pilot episode where he first meets Sandy and he kind of starts crushing on Sandy a little bit. But when he goes into Sandy's house and realizes that Sandy doesn't technically have water in her house, that it's all air, he becomes a dried up sponge, and Patrick becomes a dried up star. You also have in that pilot episode, you also have him getting the job at the Krusty Krab and Squidward not wanting him to work there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But SpongeBob became good at his job.
And then is it the same episode where they play with bubbles and Squidward's house goes floating away in a bubble?
I don't.
Or that might be the next episode after that.
I think that's what it is.
Or the fish hook episode. That one's funny.
Yeah.
Don't ride the fish hook, SpongeBob.
Yeah. There's the episode where Plankton steals Sandy's skin and trying to get the secret recipe for the Krabby Patties. And Sandy's trying to get her skin back, but she ends up saving the day getting her skin back, but then she also gets arrested for public nudity.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one.
There's the episode where SpongeBob had to go back to milkshake school because his milkshake license has been expired for 7 years. Or the episode where Mr. Krabs' daughter, was, growing up and she was becoming big. And she was
How does a crab have a whale for a daughter?
Merman and Aqua Boy or whatever they were.
Yeah.
Those episodes were pretty funny too.
Yeah. So, and
There
Sean,
are
to answer your question, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Who was the bad guy for that one? For Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy?
That guy, he had like the purple
He had like the purple 2-fingered head, I think.
Forget his name.
He was funny.
So now go over to the Heathcliff side of the coin. Heathcliff's episode. The episode where Heathcliff, liked to screw with the dog catcher. And the dog catcher ended up getting fired. Well, then Heathcliff felt bad, so he got he helped the dog catcher get his job back.
Yeah, that's the exact episode I was just thinking about in my head.
Yeah.
Too. Because the other catcher, he was just grabbing just a bunch of random things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was also the boss's son.
Yeah.
There's the episode where Heathcliff accidentally solved a Rubik's not a Rubik's cube, but some kind of genius puzzle. So Iggy's like, "Oh my god, my cat is the smartest cat in the world," and Heathcliff just kind of kicked it when he woke up, and that's how the thing got solved or whatever.
Yep.
There is the episode where Iggy's trying to get Heathcliff to win like best cat or something. And Heathcliff decides to, screw with all the competition. And then that includes another, chase with Spike. Also the episode where
was Heathcliff with the one where also another cat dressed up as Heathcliff, like in a suit.
Yeah,
Do you remember that episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I believe I watched that episode. Yeah, another cat, like a out of town cat or something, came in and put a costume on as Heathcliff and started terrorizing the town.
Yeah, and then there was also when Heathcliff helped out his dog buddy Chauncey, because Chauncey was going to get picked up by the pound, and Heathcliff's like, not going to happen.
Yeah.
And he helped his buddy. I mean, that also included Heathcliff dressing up like a dog. But so both shows do have memorable episodes. Eric, I'm starting with you.
I'm going Heathcliff. I found it more entertaining to me, obviously. So,
normally I would make fun of you, but I agree with you. Heathcliff is is in my top 10.
Yeah, if you had to give me an episode to a season to watch, I would watch Heathcliff over SpongeBob any day of the week.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. And again, I actually agree with you, so I'm not going to make fun of you for once.
And there's just something about a cat just running around and being funny like Garfield is.
We're talking about Heathcliff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
I think you were
I was comparing the two.
Yeah. Well, but also what's funny, too, is that you barely saw Garfield leave the house. Heathcliff was causing trouble all over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they differ.
He was Garfield before Garfield.
Yeah. Shawn, let's go to you next.
I'm also going with Heathcliff on this one.
Oh, Heathcliff.
There is something funny about a cat just walking around like he owns everything, because that's how cats really are, kind of.
Yeah.
They think they really run the place, and I don't know. Like SpongeBob had good episodes, but after a while, it just kind of. It felt to me like every time they would go to, like, say, Plankton, it was the same thing, just a different way of him trying to steal the formula.
Yeah.
But it was the same plot line. Like that was his whole thing, and it kind of just got old after a while.
You know how many people are probably sweating right now because Heathcliff's making a comeback? But all right, Dave, it doesn't necessarily count, but I'm going to you next anyway.
Yeah, for episodes, I'm gonna have to go with Heathcliff as well. I could actually sit there and watch that and be entertained by the episode. SpongeBob, I'd rather watch a black screen for 24 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going with Heathcliff.
Okay. All right. SpongeBob is up 3-2. Now there's 2 categories left, so again, Heathcliff has to win this next category to stay in it. Now we know what the last category is. It's cultural impact and legacy. I think we know exactly where that would go. But, if it takes it to the end, it takes it to the end. But right now we're on humor and entertainment value. And this is funny because this is one of those categories that it's just like, it's judged. It's two different criterias.
Yeah.
Because humor is more, humor is basically the jokes and the, can they make you laugh and all that. Entertainment value is because anybody can be entertained by anything. They could be entertained by a comedian. They could be entertained by a sporting event. They could be entertained by, two people, doing that. They could be entertained by two people, making out on TV. They could be entertained by somebody getting hit by a bus. Doesn't matter. Whatever entertains you. And in this in both of these cartoons, Heathcliff, I think, had the humor down, and there was a lot of entertainment with some of the stuff that he did, some of the hijinks that he did.
Yep.
And SpongeBob, there was humor in the fact that SpongeBob was just clueless. But also there's a lot of entertainment value in some of the stuff he would do.
Yeah.
Him and Patrick both. So this is another hard category to judge because both. What the hell?
What just happened?
I have taken it over.
Eric, what'd you do?
I have taken over, baby.
Eric touched the wrong button.
He's a button toucher.
I meant to unmute myself.
Sure you did.
Dave's a star.
I apologize.
That's okay. I mean, our numbers have technically gone up since we've gotten Dave. So
Let's go.
But all right. So again, both cartoons kind of, do pretty well in this category. Dave, your vote didn't count last time, but it's going to count this time. What are you going with?
I'm going with Heathcliff. It's definitely more entertaining, more my type of humor. SpongeBob is more annoying, stupid humor. So, I mean, if that's your thing, more to you, but it's not mine. I didn't really find it that humorous to me. Like, there's a couple that are, here and there that are funny on SpongeBob, but it's not really entertaining to me.
Okay. I'm probably going to regret this, but I'm going to save Eric for last, and I'm going to go to you, Shawn.
I'm picking Heathcliff.
All right, then I'm not going to regret it.
Thank you, Shawn.
You're welcome. It's kind of like Dave said, like SpongeBob's just kind of the annoying humor, the quirky humor, like not quirky, but Heathcliff was more of that, like, you got to understand certain ways of sentences, I should say. Certain way of saying stuff to understand the humor behind it.
Right.
Or why it would be funny. So, I mean, SpongeBob had its moments too with entertainment, but not. I was more entertained watching Heathcliff.
Right.
I was kind of more like, meh. I hope I get to this episode on SpongeBob fast enough.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
All right, Eric, go ahead.
Heathcliff. I don't find. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't find anything humor about SpongeBob. I don't get it, but whatever.
How the tables have turned. SpongeBob, about 2 categories ago, was right there, was about ready to sweep. And now it's 3-3. Now again, I know what the next category is because I wrote the thing. So I kind of know where this is headed, but let's just build up the drama a little bit. If SpongeBob wins, then SpongeBob will face Batman the Animated Series in the second round. The Simpsons will face Kim Possible. If Heathcliff wins, the Simpsons have to face Batman in the next round. Now, and we won't know who Heathcliff is facing until the next episode.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know what how Simpsons fans are feeling right now, because their second round opponent really does, depend on what happens here. But cultural impact and legacy. There's not a lot of people that still talk about Heathcliff. Now, Heathcliff technically is still shown. It's one of the cartoons that's on Paramount Plus. You can also still find episodes on YouTube.
And Pluto TV.
And Pluto. Okay. So they're still out there. They can still be shown. Now, I don't know if people are going and looking for them. I mean, we are, because we have to talk about it on the show here.
It's on Amazon Prime too.
Huh?
It's on Amazon Prime too.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes sense because they're on because Stars has a channel. It has a family channel on Amazon Prime, and Heathcliff actually had a contract. There was actually a contract where old episodes of Heathcliff were being syndicated on the Stars Kids and Family channel.
Wow, okay.
That's cool.
So so it's still being shown, and obviously you can find it in a few places. SpongeBob, though, has been going strong for 20 years, and they're still coming out with stuff. They have spinoffs. They have movies that come out, merchandise. Heathcliff obviously had merchandise back in the day, which is probably worth a lot more money now. But as far as a cultural impact, Heathcliff's cultural impact at that time was, it was another fun show. It was another fun cartoon for kids to come home and watch every day after school, or in my case, every morning before I went to school.
Yeah.
All right. SpongeBob is, back in the day when I used to take, when I lived back in Newfane, and I would have to take Daniel to the dentist, which I didn't do it a lot, but I did it a couple times, or the couple of times where I had to go to the dentist office. For some reason, in the dentist office was always playing SpongeBob. So you sit in the waiting room and you're watching SpongeBob on TV. So SpongeBob's legacy, I mean, both the legacies of both shows, like I said, they could still be found.
And there's video games of SpongeBob too.
Yeah. Heathcliff may have had a Nintendo game. I'm not sure. I mean, everybody had a Nintendo game back then, but still.
Right.
True.
I think.
Go ahead, Eric.
I think if it wasn't for Garfield, I think Heathcliff would probably be more popular.
That's a fair point. That I agree with. But with that all being said, Eric, I'm going to start with you this time around. Who wins the category?
As much as I want to see Heathcliff, I'm going to see SpongeBob because of the legacy and everything, the merchandise, the popularity, it's still going to today, all that. That's all I'll say. I don't want to say too much nice things.
All right.
Yeah.
Shawn, we'll go to you.
I'm also going with SpongeBob. Gotta give it to him.
Oh, we know where you were going with it.
Where were you gonna go, Dave?
Same place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, it's just it's got more of a legacy in them.
Yeah, no, it for sure does. I
Like,
mean, it's
you
been
know,
running for a
It's been
long
running
time.
for almost 30 years. It feels like they got multiple games.
It's
and they're
been
just
running
They're
pretty
up
much
there.
the whole time I've been alive, bro. So
Yeah,
They're up there with the
honestly.
Simpsons as
Yeah.
far as a longevity.
What were they? 99? 99?
99, yeah.
99.
26 years.
I mean, you got these people on shoes, backpacks. I mean, like a bunch
Pretty
of
sure they
different,
had trading cards,
a bunch of different merchandise. So I mean, it's really hard to compete with SpongeBob
movies.
on a
They had
cultural
celebrities.
impact
Celebrities
as well.
come in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You ask a 5-year-old what Heathcliff is, they'll say Garfield.
Yeah,
Which is sad, but it's true.
but everybody knows like SpongeBob.
100%. All right. So I think we all knew this was coming. Heathcliff put up a little bit of a fight there at the end, but I think that's also because we didn't want to go. We didn't want the show to end at under 30 minutes.
no, I genuinely thought that Heathcliff was better in those categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yep.
And you know what? I agree. So this was close. There's a lot of SpongeBob fans out there right now that when they listen to this or when they watch this episode, they're like, "Oh my god, what are these idiots thinking?"
I think the closest one that could have turned the tide was probably the first one.
Yeah, it was hard for me to pick the song too.
Yeah,
I had
Because
a
I
hard
think
time because
that was
Heathcliff's
2-1,
song.
wasn't it?
Yeah, Heathcliff's song. No, I picked SpongeBob as well. I think
the song definitely draws you in, and so does the animation of it. But SpongeBob's just way too catchy not to,
Or was it
you
the second
don't
one that was
predict
close?
The second one in animation quality, Shawn picked Heathcliff.
Imagine if I did go hateful and I did pick Heathcliff.
If you would have picked Heathcliff in that, it would be a whole different story right now. Heathcliff
Yep.
would have won.
Yep.
Yeah, and
So,
in round 6,
For the SpongeBob fans, you're welcome.
Eric
Now you're
was
talking like they
unbiased.
owe you money.
Eric was unbiased. Congratulations, Eric.
Yeah. All right. So
I could have gone Heathcliff there, but
So here's what this means. What it means is SpongeBob in the second round is going to face the number 1 seed Batman the Animated Series, and the Simpsons are going to face Kim Possible.
that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Both of them are. Like, well, I mean, for people that want to see SpongeBob succeed, it's going to be tough. All right. Next week's episode, which is actually going to be pre-recorded, we're doing that in a little bit. Don't want to really take anybody behind the curtain, but I do that anyway. Next week's episode is Rugrats versus Scooby-Doo. Where are you? I will say this, and I'll say it at the beginning of the episode next week, obviously. If Rugrats wins next week, they're facing Rocket Power in the second round, and Ninja Turtles is facing Pokemon. If Scooby-Doo wins, then it's going to be Rocket Power versus Pokemon and Scooby-Doo versus Ninja Turtles.
Oh boy. Me and Sean are going to fight.
I don't know.
One of Sean's favorites, and Pokemon is obviously one of mine. I mean, Sean
Again,
likes
if
Pokemon
we
too.
get there.
Yeah.
If we get there, it has to, we don't know yet. We might have kind of an idea in our heads, but we're not 100% sure yet. But that's next week. And so we'll get to that. But again, right now, second round, here's what we know. Simpsons versus Kim Possible, Batman the Animated Series versus SpongeBob. We know that. And next week, when this first round concludes, we're going to know all 4 matches for the quarterfinals.
We're coming down the stretch.
Yeah. So it's getting to the point to where, some of the cartoons that aren't good enough are being shown why they're not good enough. And we're starting to see which ones are good enough to move on, or at least in our heads. So, all right. So, of course, I'm Dutchy, MoneyE, Shawn, Dave the Wild Card. We'll see everybody next week. Eric, you'll take care of the shorts, please.
Absolutely.
All right. And we'll see everybody next week for Rugrats and Scooby-Doo. Where are you?
The big showdown.
Yep. All right. Later, everybody.
Later.
Later.
Come on.